Maybe you have recently been a victim of a crime, or of harsh criticism, or slander, or abuse. Or maybe you've just read about it because it's happening all around us. Why is it that people can do such evil things? It's just amazing. But before you and I start judging other people, we need to look at our own heart, because the thing that is driving them is the thing that we all have. It's a human heart, the same human heart. And it's all about this emptiness that is inside all of us, every single one of us. It's trying to find fulfillment in something other than God that causes all this fighting and quarreling and unrest and searching. For some of us, it may explode in some hurtful words or a terrible deed. But it is still there in all of us, every one of us, this emptiness, trying to find fulfillment. It's the drive to satisfy our wants. It's that struggle inside of each of us that is not usually about right versus wrong. It's not about arguments of truth. But bottom line is just simply, I want or I don't like. And those kind of things come out in criticisms and harsh words and inward anxiety and fears and slander and verbal quarrels and even envy. And maybe you're thinking, well, envy, we all got a little envy. But you know, when you allow envy to grow and when it builds and builds and builds, that's what's behind the actual act of murder many times. It's the drive to satisfy our wants. It's a fight in our soul. It destroys relationships. It creates division. It leaves us unfulfilled. Listen to how James describes it in James 4. What causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You desire, but you do not have, so you kill. You covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. The cause of all these problems that destroys relationships and leaves us unfulfilled, it's because there's something inside of us that is lacking. Some longing that we have that's not fulfilled. We're wanting something, and many times we're willing to do whatever it takes in order to get it. You just have to have it, and you can't be at peace until you get that promotion, that job, change of career. You cannot know peace until you find somebody who really loves you, and until you, whatever it is, you just have to have it. It's that emptiness, you see, that creates the passions inside that are waging war. I want. That's often what drives us. You get frustrated with people all around you. Husbands and wives, they start fighting. Oh, you're not bringing me fulfillment. Or you're not the man that I married. Children, parents say, you're just not showing respect. And the children say, but you're just not listening. Bosses demand too much, always criticizing, never happy with what you do. Of course, bosses on the other side are saying, but the employees are not giving their best. And so there you have it. Life is unfair. There's no justice. There's the haves, there's the have-nots. And driving this is our soul that says, I want peace. I want. James writes, you do not have because you do not ask God. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. The reason for this fight inside of us is that we don't ask God. Don't ask God to fulfill us. But you say, but I ask God. I've asked for things and nothing happened. But see, that's the problem. Because you ask wrongly. You're not coming to God and saying, "Oh, Father, you are enough for me. Just satisfy me with your beauty." Instead, we come to Him and say, "I don't have peace. Give me this. I need this. Give me what I want." We're driven by desires and not by God. We say, "This will fulfill me if I have it." We don't come to Him and say, "You fulfill me. That's enough." See, we're like the prodigal son Jesus described. Give me my share. I want it now. And see, inside we're deciding all the different ways that we're going to spend it on our wants. It makes us an enemy of God. Strong words. An enemy of God. See, God portrays Himself often in the Bible as a husband, and we are the wife. And I know men have trouble with this. I had trouble with it. I don't want to be a wife. But you see, what God is trying to get through to us is to describe the relationship that He intends to have with you that is just meant to be. It is right. You both belong to each other. He says, that's what I want. But the way that we often see our relationship with God may not be right, because it's not deep enough, it's not strong enough. See, when even Jesus said to His followers, "I have called you friends," but we use the word friends so casually, and that's not what it was back in that world. It meant sharing everything. It meant a unity. It meant an intimacy. God tolerates no rivals. We don't understand this relationship. James writes, "You adulterous people, don't you know that friendship with the world means enmity against God? Therefore, anyone who chooses to be a friend of the world becomes an enemy of God. Or do you think, Scripture says without reason, that He jealously longs for the Spirit He has caused to dwell in us?" Now, the world is not talking about people here. God so loved the world of people that He gave His only begotten Son. Jesus died for people. And we, followers of Jesus, are to pursue each person from all the nations with a passionate love that cares, speaking the truth, wanting to bring them to Jesus. See, this is not about hating people, drawing boundaries, keeping distance. This is about the values, the pursuits, the wants of the world. God calls believers, you and me, who pursue our wants as adulterous people. Adulterous people. Because we could have this relationship with God that comes with fulfillment, but instead we're chasing after all sorts of other things for fulfillment. So we, like a wife to the husband, God Himself, we belong to Him, but we are giving our desires, our passions to others. God says we're actually coming to Him, asking the one that we love to give us something else that will satisfy and bring peace. That He's not enough. Don't you get it? He has given us His Spirit. He has caused His Spirit to dwell in us. As He says here, we are joined to Him. We are chosen. We are loved. We are sealed to be His forever. So He is jealous. He is yearning for you and for me because we belong to Him through Jesus. Don't you get it? That's why, as James says, the Scripture says that He, the Creator of the universe, yearns jealously for you. Right now, God yearns for you. But instead of us looking to God and saying, "Oh, yes, you are the one that I want," we say, "Actually, you're great, but if you could give me this, then things would really be right. Because you alone are not enough." James writes, don't you understand that once you start pursuing these other things, once you say, "I need this in order to have peace," once you say, "I know God gives peace, but He needs to give me this in order for the peace to be real." James says, don't you realize that when you are pursuing that you're becoming an enemy of God? That's strong. It doesn't mean that we are looking at God and saying, "You are my enemy." It means that He is looking at you and saying, "You're my enemy." Evaluate, friends. We need to evaluate. Is this me? Am I so in love with the world? Am I not even trying to find my fulfillment just in Him? When Jesus was praying to the Father, He said, "And the world hates them, my followers, because they do not belong to the world, just as I do not belong to the world." Jesus says it's relationship. That's what I'm talking about. They love me because I first loved them. And it is such a deep relationship. They've come to the reality to understand this is not home. They don't belong here any more than I do. Because they would rather have me than the world. You can't have both. You can't say, "I love God, but I want this." You must choose. And God is yearning for you. And He gives more grace. He gives more grace when you choose Him. James writes, He gives us more grace. That is why Scripture says God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. God's grace is completely adequate to fulfill the requirements of His jealousy. You say, but if I say I'm satisfied just with Him rather than the things that I've been asking for, and He doesn't give me the things that I've been asking for, how can I really be satisfied? I have sexual desires. I have the need for companionship or love. I have the need to feel good about myself, to get an advancement in a good career, a job that I really like. How can I know that peace? And God says, my grace is sufficient for that demand. What? You don't believe me? What? You don't get it? How much I yearn for you? Even if you have rejected Him, He will show you grace right now. Grace, giving you something you don't deserve. That's what grace is. He will still allow you into a relationship with Him because it's not deserved. And humility is the response when you understand that it's about grace. See, the proud are only going to find resistance from God. But that sustaining grace that is going to get you through, to get you through as someone who, maybe your marriage is falling apart, maybe it's been divorce already, maybe whatever it is that is lacking, you say, how am I going to make it? God says, you want the sustaining grace? I will give it to you. But you need to admit your need for it, and you need to accept the gift. You've blown it for so long? Okay. That's okay, because right now, humble yourself. He gives more grace. Stop being arrogant and stop defending why you've been pursuing this, all the reasons, all the background story. Just humble yourself and get serious. Get serious. What do you want? Really? Do you want God? Do you believe that He will be enough to fulfill all of your longings? If you do, or if you're willing to at least take steps toward that, then here's what you need to do. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come near to God, and He will come near to you. Submit. Stop bossing God around. God, why did you do this? Why didn't you answer more quickly? Why did you bring that instead of what I asked for? Aren't you listening to me? Don't you Where's your love? I thought you cared. You were bossing God around. Scripture says unbelief is the failure to submit. So admit it. That's what's going on in your heart right now. It's unbelief. So get serious. Choose to place yourself under His lordship. He is the Lord. And then resist the devil. The devil's main tool is words, and specifically it's lies. To get you to believe something that's not true. See, the problem is, you say, well, I'm submitting to God, but what's occupying your mind? Is it the thing that you don't have, the relationship you don't have, the peace that you're not feeling? You're always thinking about it. You're saying, but you convinced yourself, but I just want to be able to remember this. I just want to look at it from all the angles. I want to analyze it. You know, I've given it to God, but I want to be able to sure. You're just thinking about it over and over. That's coming from Satan. And you are believing that it's important enough to keep thinking about when it isn't. Because He is enough. And the very fact that you are listening to this over and over means you're not resisting. You're staying the enemy of God. Instead, resist. Say, no, I'm going to stop thinking, stop listening. But at the same time, you draw near to Him. You have to draw near to Him as you resist. Draw near to God. Right now you can draw near to Him, and He will draw near to you. He said it. He promised it. It doesn't matter what you've been pursuing. He will give you more grace right now. If you'll just stop and submit and resist and draw near. Stop being double-souled, wavering in your faith and divided longings. As James says, wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded, double-souled. Grieve, mourn, and wail. Change your laughter to mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you up. He will. These are strong words, friends. Weep, wail, cleanse, broken. He's basically saying, come clean. Admit it. Coming to the end of yourself and saying, oh God, what was I thinking? going after this and that and even laughing about it and even parading around in my pride. Look what I accomplished. Oh, I just about got it. Do you see what happened? Oh, man, this was wonderful. And you get all pumped up and excited because now you got the thing that's going to give you peace. And you're laughing about it. And God says, be wretched. Be miserable because you've been chasing something that's not me. I haven't been in that, have I? Oh God, I think I've missed the point of life, what it's all about. Maybe you grew up in a church and taught just to ask God for things that you want and need. And yes, Jesus said, we need to ask Him. We can ask Him for anything. But what you've missed out is right at the beginning, the first ask needs to be, oh God, I want you. And the last ask needs to be, oh God, I want you. That you are the one that fulfills me, who can take care of all of my desires. What He needs to hear from you and me is the truth. I turned from these pursuits. I am sorry I went after those things that I thought could fulfill me. I am an adulteress. And so God says, walk away from all that junk. And say it. Make the decision, the choice. Get serious. What do you want? And say, no, it's you I want, Father. It's you. I went after so many other things I thought would fulfill me, but they didn't. Instead, they caused me to become irritable with other people and to fight and to quarrel, to feel miserable. In the end, anyway. Quit the fighting. Find your fulfillment in God. Right now. Get serious and make the decision before Him right now. I know I've blown it. I've pursued so many things that you hate. And I've missed out on the whole point of my life. And God will say, that's great. Now just draw near. Because I've wanted this. I've jealously yearned for this day. For you. Now walk away from all that other stuff and come to me, and I will fulfill everything that you really wanted. Will you believe me in this?